readies combat nuke for launch as Yars missile able to strike UK and US is locked and loaded in silo near Moscow. This is Marfoogle News. We're going to be covering some crazy stuff today, but first off, start it with absolutely the craziest. This says that Vladimir Putin has renewed his nuclear threat against the West by readying missiles for launch. Video shows a huge Russian Yars rocket able to hit the UK and the US being loaded into a silo at a base near Moscow. It says the intercontinental ballistic missile with a 7,500-mile range was installed in a silo launch pad using a special transport and loading unit. Putin was seen in late October overseeing the launch of similar Yars nuclear missiles on a mock attack on the West amid high tension in the conflict with UKR. It says in the drills, Russia reportedly practiced its response to a Western nuclear attack and were aimed at targeting the UK and the US. Obviously, this is not good. I've covered a lot of weird things over the last week, including a leaked plan, and I don't know if it was purposely leaked, of Vlad essentially having a plan called Noah's Ark. That thing absolutely creeped me out, considering a couple days before that, you ended up having Elon Musk sharing a picture of his space rocket being a Noah's Ark, like something is going to happen, some sort of huge Noah's Ark kind of disaster. A flood of some sort, and then, of course, the last couple years of covering the Poseidon system, which, of course, is a nuke system that would be basically exploded in the ocean that would cause a 1,500-foot wave, basically taller than the Twin Towers, a huge wave going over the U.S. Very, very scary stuff. Is it real? Is it propaganda? What is it? We'll talk about all of that tonight on Marfoogle News. Tonight is a call-in show, so remember you can call in live. The number is going to be scrolling the entire show. If you do want to call in, get in after we introduce Dex. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, and a quick word from our sponsor. There was a time when night vision was only reserved for military and law enforcement, but fortunately for us, high-quality consumer night vision has never been more affordable than now. Literally. A favorite choice for are the Night Watch Pros. Night Watch Pros are the perfect for night hunting, watching wildlife, scenic viewing, surveillance, patrol detection, and home protection in complete darkness. They also double as a video camera with the ability to rewind, replay, and save your footage on the device in stunning clarity. Get it for 60% off right now for a limited time now by going to nightwatchpro.com. That's www.nightwatchpro.com, or simply click the link down below. Again, that helps support independent media, and you will get something very, very awesome out of it. We will be right back right after this. All right, so remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com to find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document in this show. Today, we're going to be going over a lot of stuff. So remember, all you have to do is go to this thumbnail. This is only a test, and it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document on our page. That way, you have access to every single article, the sources for every piece of information you're going to see here on the show. At the very bottom, there's a yellow bar that is essentially all of the overflow. All the stuff we could not fit into a 2-hour time period is down there. Thank you, peace and love, for before the show even started, doing a super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you all of the mods that have already piled in. Thank you everybody that's in chat. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Frugal fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, Dex, before we open up the phone lines, and we're going to be opening them up at 224-400-MARF. Dex, when you saw the piece on, of course, Putin readying this stuff, obviously this scares people, and in turn, that means people are going to push back on it and say, oh, it's just fear-mongering and this and that. I guess at what point do people realize, that any one of these could end up being the real thing? It could very well be a circus. It could be propaganda, and I sure hope it is. And the 99% chance that it most likely is. But at what point do people start preparing for the unlikely? What did you think about seeing him readying combat nuke and actually loading it up on the dock?
Well, I have to ask, like, what is the exact reason? There's really only two reasons to, well, maybe three reasons to do that. One, because you're going to actually launch it. Two, you want to make a statement. Or three, you're just doing practice drills, right? Maybe there's another reason, but those seem to be the most obvious. So which one is it really? And given the state of things right now, I think, there's a lot to be said about whether or not he's trying to make a statement. And if that statement he's making is one that, could lead to, hey, I've got the ability to do something and I may do it if you don't back down. So I'm not terribly scared of it because it's a really big move. If he launches anything outside, if he launches into UKR, that's one thing. But if he launches out of UKR anywhere else, that is pretty much like a game over situation, I would think.
And as far as the strength, it again is a really, 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 really powerful one, or at least the one that they were showing and that they have video of. It says that combat engineer Vadim Vazovsky told TV Zvezda that the Russian Defense Ministry's own channel, "I feel proud of Russia that my country is putting such products into service so that the motherland can sleep well." It says the Kozlik missile base is currently undergoing modernization and a revamp, said reports. The Yars is a modification of the Topol-M missile system, which was first deployed in 2009. Video released during October's drills showed armed forces personnel in front of computers launching one of the missiles. That was, I believe, Dex, that was actually one that we showed Vlad sitting at a table alone. I may be wrong, though, where he overlooked these nuclear drills, and then they, of course, showed the center of the headquarters.
I believe that's the same time, too, yeah, because they did a bunch of these drills, and that, makes sense. Those were drills.
Okay, so my opinion, though, as far as what is going on here, a lot of the Frugal fam have already responded to this, and the people that have sent this story before we even started the show, a lot of folks push back on any story like this. They believe, this is all just part of their game. It's part of the saber rattling. I guess as a prepper and with peers in the prepping community, we look at this and say, okay, it's most likely not going to happen. But at the same time, things have been ratcheting up for now 5 years straight. And it gets to a point where you think, okay, if this does happen, would there be any solution for it? Really, if a nuke hits us right on the head, we're gone. There's nothing you can do to prepare for that. But if a nuke hits somewhere in the country and you're not there, that starts us off into a major, major conflict. It could be, a back and forth. I don't think that they're going to destroy the whole planet unless it is a complete accident or AI takes over. But it would start a conventional conflict. That's why this all matters. I don't think that they would do a full-on mutually assured destruction type thing. But again, we're in times that are completely unpredictable, or they are predictable in the way of, this. If this is all just a big show, that's great. But many of us, like they said, sleep better if you have knowledge of something protecting you. I sleep better knowing that if there is something that's just outside, if there was something a state over and it happened, I know my state would be going nuts. I would feel better being better prepared. I would also feel better knowing that it might happen. Even if it's a 1% chance it happens, I would rather know than be completely oblivious. There are so many people right now that just want to be completely asleep at the wheel. If something did happen, which they have done so many drills in the United States for this kind of activity over the last couple of years, and it's very odd. In New York specifically and in Chicago, they're telling people to have go bags. They're doing tests in the subways. If something gets released, they are actually doing nuclear PSAs again, which it brings us back to the Cold War when obviously most of you that lived through that, you guys had to, at school, go under your desk and do drills. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but who knows? That could resume. You could have kids at school doing drills every week if it ratchets up and if media ends up picking up on it and scares the crap out of everybody. I think that we are going to a conventional war. When I say that I think we're going to WW3, that doesn't mean I think that it's the end of the world. I think it's the end of peace. That's for sure. And I think it's the start of the industrial complex, rearing its ugly head. We're going to go back to Russia and everything else in just a bit. And of course, the phone lines are now open. So if you do want to call, the number to call is 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-006273. You can call it right down below. Hundreds of Yeti coolers lost when a shipping container spilled are washing up in Alaska. It says confirmed Yeti sightings from Seattle to Alaska. Hundreds of luxury coolers lost when a shipping container spilled last year are now appearing on shorelines. Yetis have been spotted from Seattle to Alaska. Hundreds of luxury branded coolers are washing up on shorelines after a freight ship spilled cargo containers into the Pacific Oceans last year. And people are now on the hunt for the items that cost up to $750. So if you find one, and by the way, it's crazy that people actually pay $750 for a cooler when, I guess I'm the kind of person that barely spends $5 on those styrofoam ones that my wife can't stand the sound of when you put the lid on and off. But again, some people spend that, and now people are actually hunting the shorelines for these stupid coolers. It says scientists who study how debris travel through the ocean currents believe that 1,600 coolers lost at sea will be floating around the world for the next 30 years. So if you were stuck on an island, it would be pretty crappy. Say if you were straight up like castaway on a tiny island and you are starving and you're trying to catch seagulls to eat, and then you see a big old Yeti cooler and you think you're saved, and you open the thing up and it's empty. Pretty sad, to say the least. But that's what's happening. I guess they'll last longer than the plastic. It says Hawaiian volcanoes suddenly go quiet, but scientists don't know exactly why. Many of the Frugal fam have emailed me and messaged me about this. Some think that obviously they're going quiet for a reason. They think that it's building and the releases that happened were just a tiny release and that these things are going to blow. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not a local to Hawaii. In fact, if Justin True or somebody like that wanted to call in and let me know what they think, I would love that. But with the Earth having so many weird events, what do you guys think is going to happen here? It says about 2 weeks after Earth's largest active volcano began erupting, Mauna Loa has gone quiet. So too has Kilauea. What do you guys think about this? The fact that both of these volcanoes almost simultaneously stopped and stopped working. Mind you, when most people think of two different volcanoes, they think they're completely separate. But if you think about what we accept as, science of it, is it's all coming from underneath the plates, and it's basically connected. That's why they call the Ring of Fire the Ring of Fire. When one goes off, they all kind of start rumbling. It says, so too has Kilauea, its smaller neighbor on Hawaii's Big Island, which had been erupting almost constantly for more than a year. So out of nowhere, these both stopped. It says, we feel pretty confident that this eruption has in fact paused and is probably over. Ken Hall and scientists in charge of the U.S. Geological Survey and Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said Tuesday in reference to Mauna Loa. It says, but volcanologists don't know whether there is a link between the end of the two eruptions. Something that highlights the larger challenges the scientists face is analyzing and predicting volcanic activity. Mauna Loa, among the best understood and most closely watched volcanoes in the world because of its record of activity with 34 eruptions since 1843, and yet significant questions remain about the factors influencing when it erupts and when it quiets. So this is Mauna Loa. I mean, it's a huge chunk of the actual island. It's, looks like it's about 50% of the island is the base of this volcano, and it just stopped. What do you guys think that is? I'm going to go over to the chat here in just a second. What do you guys think happened with this, and why do you think that both stopped at the same time? Scratch said the sun, maybe. We did have some solar events. The Nana of Montana says the end is only beginning. The Bearded Star, what's going on? International Space Center sprung a leak and is leaking oxygen. We'll be talking about that, I believe, later. Michigan Lifestyle, it's not global warming, it's magnetic pole shift reversal. And then magnetic pole shift, Jaleesa H. Gorilla, what's going on? We've got Jeff P. Hey, Jeff, I mentioned you the other day. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. We linked your video last night or the night before. Great video on that webcam. And then Paul Stasny, no, he only wants to kill the rich. The Moon Maybe says 3-kid mom, bit crusher. By the way, not only Jeff P, but all of the mods are over on marfugelnews.com/friends. If you haven't checked it out, it is a great resource for all of the people that are tied in with the Frugal fam, friends of ours, mods of ours, and then, of course, really awesome creators that we have known over the 5 years I've been doing this. Really great channels. Jeff P is down there. Of course, you have Jacob Israel. You have Joseph Newhouse. Justin True, the guy I was talking about from Hawaii. He is on there. He is actually a really smart guy. I wish he would do more with his YouTube channel. And then Jeff P, who recently started doing videos a lot more again as well. You have all sorts of great channels there. JJ, Captain Scotty is here. Ian DeBow says to make Mount Rainier or Mount Hood erupt, Yellowstone. It's all connected deep down, though, says Carl. So that's the thing. I'm not a scientist, but what I do know is the information that we get in from Frugal fam. There have been scientists that have reached out. One scientist about 2 years ago reached out to me and said this was from the University of Washington, and now they have moved to a different university, and I won't say which one because I believe somebody would be able to track that. But they said that Yellowstone was actually a bigger risk than many people thought. And here's another pattern, and I've shown you guys this. When the media covers something, everybody freaks out about it. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Yellowstone has not been covered recently, so not many people worry about it. And many people don't worry about it anyways because of how little it goes off. But I will tell you from what he said and from what I picked up from, of course, what is this? Chris Goldfinger, the lead seismologist or one of the top 40 in the world on the Cascadia subduction zone. He's got his own TED Talk. When I talked to him about Yellowstone, I actually asked him, I said, if Cascadia went off, if the Cascadia subduction zone, basically full margin rupture, could that actually trigger other earthquakes? And then I said, basically in general, can an earthquake trigger another earthquake? And can it trigger a volcano or vice versa? And this is the answer he gave me. He said, this is really quite interesting because 20 years ago, if you asked anyone in his field if that earthquake could cause another earthquake, they would have said, no, you're nuts. But now science is absolutely in agreement that an earthquake here in Seattle could actually cause an earthquake in India, and it could actually cause a volcano on the other side of the earth as well. That's why they say it's all connected. So when I asked about Yellowstone, he said, yes, it is possible. And it could even cause San Andreas and the whole thing to go off. It could make entire plates move. He explained to me as well that the mountains that we have, some of those mountains were actually formed when fault lines, or I'm sorry, the subduction zones like Cascadia have actually gone and did their full margin rupture. When they rip, they go like this, and then they create a mountain. So mountains have been created almost, instantly from these things breaking. So as far as Yellowstone, you'll see now that media is not covering it, not a lot of stories are coming about it. Even our community doesn't cover it. But there's been a lot of weird events over the past 5 years at Yellowstone. There's been a lot of weird seismic activity. There's also been a lot of weird closures. One time they closed almost the entire park down because they said that bears were an issue. But at the same time, locals said that scientists and FBI were going in there. All sorts of weird events. And then, of course, you had out of nowhere NASA saying that they were going to create a plan to stop Yellowstone from exploding. What the plan was even more dangerous. They said that they would drill a hole into Yellowstone and actually pump water down into Yellowstone. They would pump cold water in, and then somebody took it a step further and said that they would actually take that cold water that is pumped down, it would superheat it, then they would pump it back out as super, super hot water and actually get energy and power from it. At the same time as stopping a massive super volcano eruption, they would also create, free energy out of it, right? A lot of people wondered when that story came out is if if they know more than they actually say. What do you guys think? What do you think about Yellowstone? What do you think about these volcanoes stopping on a dime almost simultaneously? Is something happening? Is something on the horizon? And then we have Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam Bankman incarcerated, denied $250,000 cash bail offer after begging judge to let loose over vegan diet and ADD. It says fallen FTX mogul Sam Bankman-Fried brought up his vegan diet and apparent ADD diagnosis as he begged a Bahamas judge to let him out of jail on Tuesday, with his attorney proposing a $250,000 cash bail. When the guy has literally stolen billions of dollars, they asked for $250,000. It says a magistrate judge in the Bahamas denied bail for the 30-year-old accused of crypto crook, who lowered his head and hugged his parents, both Stanford professors, following the decision. It came after a lengthy hearing, Bankman-Fried's first in-public appearance since his arrest in the Bahamas on Monday, and the stunning collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange. Wearing a blue suit and white shirt at a heavily guarded court in the capital Nassau, Bankman-Fried quickly signaled he would not waive an extradition hearing on being sent back to the U.S., where he faces a slew of federal charges, including fraud and making illegal campaign contributions. Which is pretty nuts, by the way, that it came out that he was actually making illegal campaign contributions. And it's weird that he quickly signaled he would not waive an extradition hearing, and that he did these campaign contributions and he did a lot of them illegally. I wonder if he actually would want to go back to the U.S. because of who he donated to and, who is actually in his corner, which after everybody finds out that a lot of these campaign contributions were illegal, you would think that no politician would want to be anywhere, within 100 feet of him. But who knows? It says Mr. Bankman-Fried is reviewing the charges with his legal team and considering all of his legal options. His lawyer, Mark S. Cohen, also said in a statement. Chief Magistrate Joy Ann Ferguson Pratt granted Bankman-Fried's request to take his medication before the hearing began. Oh, poor baby. He's easily distracted, and can't eat meat. He should be let out so he can eat his veggies and take his Ritalin, which they let him take. Sam Bankman-Fried's ex spotted in New York City as rumors of her flipping on him swirl. So there's actually rumors that she might end up, basically throwing him under the bus. It says the ex-girlfriend of crypto mogul Sam Bankman-Fried was reportedly spotted in New York City shortly before the former FTX CEO was arrested in the Bahamas. Caroline Ellison, head of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX sister hedge fund, Alameda Research, was apparently pictured at Ground Support Coffee in Soho on December 4th. Images purporting to be of Ellison were shared to Twitter by Autism Capital, and it says who excitedly claimed that they had confirmed her identity with a barista at the Manhattan eatery. Speculation as to whether Ellison could turn on her ex and become an informant in the case has skyrocketed since she had hired the services of lawyer Stephanie Avakian, a partner at a big law firm Wilmer Hale, and the attorney is also a former enforcement chief at the Securities and Exchange Commission, the agency bringing charges against Bankman-Fried. So if you don't think it's strange that she ended up hiring somebody who is also the former enforcement chief at the Securities and Exchange, the agency that's actually bringing the charges against what's-his-face, then you're wrong. First of all, when you're at this level of rich, they actually pick specific lawyers and these people in this game. When you're that rich, if they are going up any kind of crime, they pick a lawyer that actually knows people. They're not picking a lawyer based on, I don't think they're even basing them on their cases, this and that. They're basing them on who they have personal connections with and who they are able to bribe. Because this person is probably close friends with people at the Securities and Exchange Commission, and they could probably work out a deal for Ellison so she doesn't end up serving jail time. What do you guys think, though? Why do you think she picked this very specific lawyer who was also formerly at the Securities and Exchange Commission? Someone took it to scratch. Julio Don says, isn't she the father of that guy? Well, so no, SBF is actually his parents are lawyers too, I believe. They are all corrupt and have been for years. Rob Max, yes, they are. Sean Samuels, SBF said that they need to release him because he's vegan. Haha. Sean Samuels, not only that, but he has ADD, which pretty much all of us have, right? Sorry. Couldn't be. I'm inside. Why would there be a squirrel around here? Moving on. We're going to be going over to our first phone call. I just want to thank everybody that has popped in already. And thank you so much, Lori Oder, for the super thanks on that last show, equivalent to a super chat on the replays. I appreciate that. Let's see here. We have Danish Girl. Thank you for your support on the last show. Again, thank you. And Zenwin AZ, Carol McLean, and I hope you feel better, Danish Girl. Let's see here. Nana of Montana, thank you. Hey, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here multiple times this week. I appreciate that. And thank you for the cute super sticker. Bible Talk 777 says Russia does not need to do anything. Give the West time, and we will all be women. Good point, Bible Talk. And then B-Real Beast, Marv today found out that we're having a girl. Her name shall be Faith. Thanks for all you do. God bless. Hey, B-Real Beast, I don't know if this is your first or if this is your second or third or what, but I am super, super happy for you. Obviously, is this your first girl? Like, I have so many questions. First of all, girls are absolute blast. I had 3 girls before I had my baby boy, though. And I have to say, my baby boy is just it's so cool after having 3 girls to actually have a boy and know that you've been waiting to put little suits on them forever and throw baseballs and do all the cool stuff that, you know, we all think about as dads. But yes, congratulations. Everybody make sure to congratulate B-Real Beast. They are having a baby girl and naming her Faith. Alaska Prepper says, spreading Christmas cheer. Merry Christmas and many blessings to you and your family. Alaska, thank you so much. Did a $50 super chat. You didn't have to do that, Alaska. And I will try to return that. By the way, Alaska Prepper is one of the most generous and amazing people. Him and his channel are just absolutely going haywire. He is, of course, an amazing creator. He's very consistent. He puts out tons and tons of content. He is also on the top of our Marfoogle Friends page. So make sure to go check him out. He is right over All Day, Everyday Preparedness, which actually Alaska Prepper introduced me to All Day, Everyday. At some point, we need to get All Day, Everyday on the show because he is actually very, very smart, really, really great guy on both. So thank you, Alaska. I appreciate that. And then let's see here. Before here I am. Thank you so much. A big thank you to the Marfoogle crew. I would be lost without your nightly news. You should have a monthly subscription plan. Here I am. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then peace and love before the show started. Carol McLean before the show started. And Heath Spear all did a battle of the super stickers. All right. Dex, let's get our first caller on. If you want to call in, the number is 224400 and it looks like we have Lisa on deck. Let's see here. While we get Lisa on, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfugelnews.com/prep. You can actually get a whole lot of other things there besides food, but the main staple is their long-term survival food. This is through My Patriot Supply. The reason why I like these guys is it is an affordable way to get a whole lot of food at once. As I've said, of course, all sorts of different competitors out here to this. We are, again, representing these guys and recommending them because of the price of their food. I'm actually going to be working on some other ones as well. In fact, Alaska Prepper introduced me to a couple companies that are really great as well. The reason I like Survival Living, the reason I like the My Patriot Supply is that the price. For less than $600 right now, you can actually get 3 months of food. So that is a great package. They are doing $200 off on their 3-month supply, and it is at the lowest price it's been since 2019. They're also doing $70 off on their 1-month supply, which is a great deal. Again, make sure to go over and check that out. Make sure to also check out Alaska Prepper's channel for his payday preps. If you can't afford to do something like this and you want to save up for something like this, he does a great show about payday preps, and he's got tons of videos going over what you can do just a little at a time. Go to marfugelnews.com/prep. They also have iodine tablets. They have the Alexa Pure Pro. They have emergency radios. They have books, survival books. They have all sorts of awesome stuff. So go over to marfugelnews.com/prep. All right, Dex, let's get Lisa R. Hall on the phone. Lisa, you're live.
Hello.
Hey, Lisa. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah. I had an interesting day today. I got called into work, and I don't get that many people telling me things about what's going on, so it's really unusual. But today was an exception. I had a lady come through my line, and I was surprised. She just out of the blue started telling me about her son who lives in South Dakota. And excuse me, I don't know exactly who it was that approached her or approached her son, but he has a farm of cattle, and he was told that he had to destroy his flock, or whatever you call them, and that he would be getting between $9 and $10 per pound, and that he had to not only destroy them, but dig a pit, burn them, and cover them up, bury them. And she was, of course, really shocked. And I was surprised that she was able to share that with me. Because I work there, I have to be very careful about anything I say. So it was kind of shocking being the other way around. You know, usually I'm the one sharing, and completely the other way around. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Never had that happen to me before.
So, but he did it voluntarily, or was he forced? Did you get that far out of it?
No, he had no choice.
I wonder, and is this somebody that you're ever going to be able to see again, or is this somebody that you know?
What's that?
Is this somebody you know that personally, or is this?
I don't know. No, I don't know her. I probably know, maybe 40% of my customers, but I didn't know this gal.
Huh.
And I don't know how long her son has had this farm, or, this ranch, or whatever it was. I don't even know how big his farm was. So I just thought it was interesting because that's a little closer to home than I'm used to. And
you said it was South Dakota? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I double checked with her, and I thought, if it comes up and I'm able to call in or whatever, I wanted to make sure that I had the correct state. And she said, yes, it was South Dakota.
So I wonder if it's because of like mad cow disease is going through that place. I know we've heard about people being asked to destroy their crops at sometimes double the value. But that was more like, if they had corn growing that, and I don't know, and we didn't ever kind of verify if that's true. But you were saying it was like $9 to $10 per pound. Can any other farmers in the Frugal fam please let me know if this is happening to you? Oh, go ahead, Lisa. I was just going to see if anybody else can verify this is happening to them. We have a lot of farmers here.
Yeah, and she didn't say, whether or not there was illness in the cattle or anything like that. She just said that he was told he had to, and the price, and I don't remember the exact price. I just know it was between those two. It seemed like it was I would be speculating, but it was between 9 and 10.
Well, if you ever see this woman again, please ask. Just say, "Hey, I remember you told me about this. Please ask if you can get, just anything else." I wonder if some of the we had small to mid-range farms, some owners that are in the Frugal fam. Have you ever heard of this happening? I believe that one lady said that one of her neighbor farms got asked something like this, but they wouldn't ask her because they knew her answer was already going to be a no. But you're saying they were forced. That's weird. Lisa,
that was kind of what she indicated. Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
No. By the way, so you're in Washington, right? So I'm not going to say exactly where. As far as what is the weather like there on the other side of the state? Is it crazy?
We had snow today.
That's probably coming our way. So,
yeah. Well,
is there anything else that you want to say, Lisa?
Not that I can think of. That just surprised me, I guess, because I haven't seen anything like that here yet. There are farms here, but I haven't heard anything in town in this area. So, but maybe there was something going on with his cattle. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I just kind of thought that was interesting.
So Lisa, one more question. Last time you called in, you showed pictures of that. It was like a river or a stream. And you showed how normally it was greener, or it was more the water levels were way different, and that the greenery was different or something like that. Do you remember that? Have you gone back there and seen if there was any update?
I have tried to find out, not to extent that I maybe could or should, because I haven't had the opportunity to go that far. I can't. Because of my car, I'm kind of limited, but the water levels have never changed. They are extremely high. They have never gone down. And I did talk to a friend of mine I went to school with, and I asked her if she knew anything about it, because she's kind of up on some of that stuff too. And she had indicated that they are trying to wash the salmon out to the steelhead and the salmon out to the ocean, and so they've got the gates of the dams open, and so they're probably trying to prevent having to breach the dams, trying to get them out to the ocean. That's my guess.
Well, it's very interesting, because after you came on that last show, a lot of other folks came out and they said that the parks that were near their house, the botanical gardens that people visited, different flowers were blooming like months early. And that was what we were talking about then, how the seasons are all off, and that leaves were falling off way before they were supposed to. There were flowers that were supposed to bloom in spring that ended up blooming like 3 or 4 months before. The colors on the trees were different in areas that are traditionally, historically, it's always like clockwork. So many people right now think that something is going on with the earth. What do you guys think? What does chat think? Lisa, I know you know what's going on.
I have my own ideas, but I don't know if they match anybody else's.
Well, it's so nice to talk to you, Lisa. And again, Lisa R. Hall is old school Frugal fam. You've been here since the beginning, so I love you, Lisa, and thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, I love you too. I love everybody. Love the Frugal fam, and thank you for allowing me to call.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was Lisa R. Hall, and her channel is actually on marfooglnews.com/friends as well. So make sure to go pay her a visit and go subscribe. Just to show you real quick, she is right there. She's got the kitty in her picture right there. She is also the longest running mod. She's been here for a very long time. She's been with me since as you guys describe it, since I was doing videos in my car. What the F is going on? God is destiny. Rachel Queen, yes, says Lisa is sweet. The earth is tilted more, says Tim T. People want to push back against all of this kind of stuff, but it's like, unfortunately, it's what's happening. I mean, you can't, when it starts happening in your local area, and as far as like, when it starts happening close to you and you notice things are completely off, if you've lived there your entire life, and you go to the local park and the park has, looks completely different. I know one of the people in the Frugal fam, what was it? Derringer posted pics of they go to this spot in a park right by a lake, and they take pictures of their family every year for a card. And the picture near wintertime, they had flowers that were bloomed behind them, and they do it the same day on the same year for 16 years. They did it, and they show the kids growing up, and there were flowers all behind them, and all of this crazy stuff that normally isn't. And they said, look at all 15 pictures, and then boom, this one, there's flowers blooming. It was really weird, because you have off years and you have on years. You have La Niñas and El Niños and whatever else, but you don't have just like straight up things that aren't supposed to bloom 3 months ahead. It's just weird. A lot of people just don't want to hear it. They don't want to even think about it. And then I saw this the other day, and I thought it was interesting. I believe I wanted this to be in yesterday's or something, but we didn't have time. The jet tracking teen lashes out at Elon Musk for suspending Twitter account. So if you follow my show, you would know we followed this kid, made some sort of app. How he did it, I forget. He triangulated all publicly available information and made a bot that essentially tracks Elon Musk's private jet. And when he did this, he put Elon Musk in a weird position. So everywhere Elon Musk was flying, people on Twitter that followed his account could actually follow his actual movement. And Elon said, this is a safety thing. And before he on Twitter, he said, can they stop this? Like, can you please do this? He offered this kid, I think it was $500. Dex, I don't know if you're free, but I'm trying to remember how much he offered him. I think he offered him like $30,000 or $3,000, or it was a big number, you would think, but for all, for what it is and that it mattered to the richest guy in the world, a lot of people thought, well, he could afford to pay him $3 million for his, invention or whatever. By the way, his thing that he made doesn't only track Elon, it can track anybody. I think they can track any public thing. Dex, go ahead. Do you remember?
What was the question? Was it what he was offered?
Yeah, by Elon.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. It was like $3,000 or $5,000. It wasn't a lot. Maybe 15 tops, something like that. But it was so small because he came back and said, yeah, I would rather have a Tesla, or you could at least offer me a vehicle, which is worth a lot more than that. So yeah, he was offered something, but it wasn't much.
Yeah, it was $5,000. Chat corrected. So it was $5,000 that Elon said, hey, if you stop tracking my jet, I'll give you $5,000. He replied and said, you got to do a little bit better than that. How about just throw me a Tesla? And he said no. What did he do? Instead of paying $5,000 or giving him a Tesla, the dude bought Twitter for $44 billion. And a lot of people actually thought part of the reason was I don't think it was just this. If you think about it, now you look at it, and now Elon, is a huge Twitter person. He's always on Twitter. That's his main platform. It's where he's like, it's his like YouTube. You know, it's his platform. Not even before he owned it, he was very active on it, and people made fun of him. People posted pictures of him. People posted bad pictures. Now people are questioning if he's getting rid of pictures that are posted of him when he didn't look so great before certain, additions to his head and things like that. And it says the Florida college freshman who operated a Twitter account that monitored Elon Musk's private jets blasted the tech mogul as a full-on hypocrite after learning the account had been suspended. It says Jack Sweeney was alerted to the suspension of the Elon jet account by the Post when reached out Wednesday morning. It says, quote, "This is insane." 19-year-old Sweeney told the Post, "My phone's going effing nuts." Musk, who pledged to allow the Elon jet Twitter handle to continue operating after he acquired the social media site in late October, has apparently reversed himself. Sweeney told the Post that Musk erred because now he is about to get negative publicity for his decision to go back on his pledge to allow unfettered speech on the platform. It says he really is asking for it because he was just going to get worse in the news. Sweeney predicted he's going to be called a full-on hypocrite. So when asked if Musk is a full-on hypocrite, Sweeney replied, "Yeah, it would seem so." Now, Sweeney, this guy, apparently somebody using this is a tweet that was put out by Elon, and it's going to change Twitter. It seems like forever now, because he says any account doxing real-time location info of anyone will be suspended as it is physical safety violation. This includes posting links to site with real-time location info. It says posting locations someone's traveled to on a slightly delayed basis isn't a safety problem, so is okay. It says last night, car carrying little X, his son, in LA was followed by a crazy stalker, thinking it was me, who later blocked car from moving and climbed onto the hood. Legal action is taken against Sweeney and organizations who supported harm to my family. And then Gabe Sanchez replied, says Elon's free speech on Twitter. You can't make fun of Elon. You can't post videos of Elon getting booed. You can't share Elon's jets using public flight data. You can't threaten someone's life and well-being based on their religion, race, or beliefs. What a clown. Obviously, this looks like it's like half real. And then he puts that last one in and is like, yeah, of course you can't. It says, what a clown. This is the weirdest one because it's like, yeah, this would be really hypocritical if you couldn't post things making fun of him. You can't post videos of him getting booed. You can't put his public flight data, but then you can't threaten someone's life based on religion. It's like, it says that seals that I'm no longer a Twitter user, been a loyal supporter since 2006, and this is the final straw. Elon has turned this app into a disaster, and it's only getting worse, deactivating tonight and taking my talents to Instagram, where they run a good app. You know what this is, by the way? This is a bot. This is straight up a bot, and people have found this exact same line, deactivating tonight and taking my talents to Instagram. Literally that same line, deactivating tonight and taking my talents to Instagram, where they run a good app. Dex, do you remember I posted, I want to say I posted that. It showed like 20 within 10 minutes of the same message from all these different users. And that was when he was getting rid of all of the bots. That's kind of funny that that's on this one. There's all sorts of bots like that, and I wonder who that is. Is that, China's army of 1 million that's trying to sway the thing? It says, this is ridiculous. Tracking your jet is not doxing. It's simply letting the public know where you are and how many carbon emissions you are producing for flying to places. You are honestly one of the most inconsiderate billionaires when it comes to the climate for that. Wow. And then doxing people is not free speech. People in the comments are nutty. It isn't doxing. What do you guys think? Do you think it's doxing to track his flight? Personally, here's my thing on it. None of us fly private jets. You would think if it was something that tracked him outside of the jet, then that would be different. Just saying, it's like tracking a flight somewhere is a whole lot different than, like, say, tracking his car. But again, I guess since he takes his plane everywhere, then it might be a little bit different. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and certainly, the people that fly in these private planes, they fly into smaller airports. They're not flying into these big, massive airports with tons of security and nobody allowed to go through the security checkpoint unless you have a ticket. They're flying into these smaller airports. And when they do that and he walks out the door and there's a mob of people there, which is what's happening now, and his security threat has gone up, I can appreciate the fact that he may not want people to know. He may not care where his jet has gone, but he may not want them to know he's landing in 10 minutes at this airport, or he'll be there in 25 minutes at this airport. It's one thing to say it, a few minutes late, or, half hour late or an hour late, but to give the predetermination, I think, is what, from a security standpoint, it makes his life much more difficult. But, that's the price you pay, I guess, to be the richest man in the world.
Lord Andrew says, imagine all these people wasting, using all this fuel when we can't even afford fuel. Think about that. If you took a private jet everywhere, you never see these stories of, like, well, Sam Bankman-Fried was supposedly he drove his own car and he drove to a crappy Toyota. We all know that was BS. The guy ended up having like 30 cars. There is no person that actually does that once they're billionaires, right? When you see all this kind of stuff, it's like, I guess people don't really feel bad for him. As far as doxing where people are, look at Timcast. Timcast has been, swatted numerous times, and it's dangerous. Swatting is dangerous. People can get killed that way. But as far as tracking the jets, you would think he would have security. I guess he's thinking, like, once he gets off the jet, then he goes into this private airport, then somebody is waiting with the car there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching the replay. I would love to hear your opinion. I guarantee most people don't feel bad for him, but what do you think about the general rule of what he's changing in Twitter? I support not being able to dox somebody's live location, especially, that's just something you shouldn't do, period. Somebody asked, what is doxing? Doxing is basically putting out their info, real info, whatever it may be, location, details, private life, things like that. Putting the phone number all over the internet, stuff like that. All right, and then, yeah, I'd love to see what you guys think. Let's see. And thank you over on DLive. I appreciate that. Skyhouse, Deep State of Mind. Yobi, thank you. Hello, all. Finally made it to a live one, says Yobi. Cloud Farrell, she's alive and well growing. Love it. Cloud Farrell, nice to see you. Majorly Stoned says, Twitter files, let's keep Elon safe. That cool? Question mark. I agree with that as far as, what's crazy? I love the tweets that say, like, ABC, CBS, NBC, 0 minutes covered on the Twitter files. And one of them says, like, and tell me how they're not the enemy of the state. Mainstream is not covering the Twitter files. I see all of these bots saying that it's a whole nothing burger. And I see people fighting for saying that it's a nothing burger. There's plenty of really good stuff in there. And it's all stuff, though, that we all already knew. Most people that follow Twitter know that a lot of that stuff that they're confirming, everybody thought. And by the way, a lot of the things that he just confirmed were theories, right? We're all just a bunch of tinfoil hat-wearing nuttos, right? That's what they think. Vicky K, again, thank you. If you think Elon is a good guy, devil, Ishad love shit him. Like I've said, it's really hard not to support the things he's doing as far as, like, to root for this, like, putting out, all of this crazy information. But I have pointed out plenty of times all of the ways he is not only connected with the government, how he's connected with a possible social credit score, how he's possibly connected with, the mark as far as, like, the X app paying for everything. You won't be able to pay, you won't be able to buy groceries or go anywhere without the X app. I mean, that's what some people see the future as. And then we have American British ballistic missile submarines join for highly unusual show of force. So this is, again, a lot of showboating or putting stuff out there when they don't need to. The U.S. Navy has released an exceptionally rare picture showing the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine USS Tennessee sailing on the surface alongside an unnamed British Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarine. Somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, both types are part of their country's respective nuclear deterrent arsenals. This is just the latest example this year of a highly unusual disclosure related to the Navy 14's Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines, or SSBNs, as well as the 4 other Ohios that have been converted into guided missile submarines, or SSGNs. It says, just since October, the Navy has publicly announced the USS West Virginia's presence in the Arabian Sea and subsequent arrival at the British island territory of Diego Garcia. It says, which hosts a significant American presence, as well as the port visit by the USS Rhode Island to the British naval base in Gibraltar. Basically, they're saying that they're popping up these submarines, which are almost never seen, stay underwater, they stay hidden, they stay stealth, and they're purposely popping these up. And most say that it's a kind of that when they show these off, they're telling the enemy, "Hey, we're all over the place. We're all over Earth. We can hit you at any time. These are our nuclear triad. We're ready to go. We've got our stuff locked and loaded," type of thing. It says, typically the U.S. Navy offers few, if any, details about what SSBNs, also referred to as boomers, are doing at sea or their whereabouts. When on patrol, these boats are intended to effectively disappear as part of their mission to provide a credible second strike deterrent capability. So these things, if anything happens, these things can pop up out of the water and boom, launch a bunch. I don't even know if they have to pop out of the water to launch these things. They may be able to actually launch from underwater, and then you just see a missile coming out of the water and heading to its target. That way, for an enemy, they can't really take these things out unless they know where they're at. If they're directly flying above with a sub-hunter type thing, then maybe. I think the P-8, is it, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is it the P-8 Poseidon that the U.S. has that hunts the enemy's subs? That's the plane that finds the subs. So if they have something above it, then they can. But again, if they aren't directly above it, they won't be able to see it. So they've done multiple of these odd shows of force. And then U.S. Navy hospital suspends care. Oh, and I see people saying able-bodied. Wow. I don't know, because we talked about Elon. Able-bodied can tell you for days all of the crazy stuff about Elon. She does have some... she should start a channel just on that. She's got some good info. If you want reasons why he might not be the greatest guy, able-bodied definitely has that down. Red Scout, all you need to do is love God with all your heart and soul. Love that comment. Lucid Zoomer U, BS Smackdown, what's going on? Quantum Leap, Leopard, Dappy Girl, what's going on? Ilianad, able-bodied says, I want to live. U.S. Navy hospital suspends care in Haiti after 19 overboard. It says a U.S. Navy hospital ship docked in southwest Haiti has temporarily suspended medical services after 19 people with the mission fell overboard amid a heavy swell hitting the Caribbean region. It says happened Monday night and involved 12 military personnel and 7 civilians with the USNS Comfort who were returning to the ship after caring for patients on land. It says all 19 were pulled back onto the small boat, which was then lifted by a crane onto the ship. He said that the unusual process for personnel to use a water taxi and step onto a ladder to board the ship, but that the heavy surf made that impossible. He said that 2 people were injured but expected to recover. So I don't know if there's anything strange here. Let me know if you know anything about this, if you found anything odd about that. I know that there's a lot going on over in Haiti, And, of course, many people are watching it. Redacted has done some really great coverage on what is going on there, or what is believed to be going on. David Pope, hey, nice to see you. China urges citizens to leave Afghanistan after Kabul attack. So, thought you would like to know this. China on Tuesday advised its citizens in Afghanistan to leave the country, quote, as soon as possible, following a coordinated by Islamic State militants the previous day on a Chinese-owned hotel in the heart of Kabul. It says advisory appeared to be a setback for Afghanistan Taliban rulers who seek foreign investments in hope of halting the downward spiral of the Afghan economy since the takeover of the country more than a year ago. It says the Islamic State group, a key rival of the Taliban, claimed responsibility for the attack Monday afternoon on Kabul Logan Hotel, which left 3 assailants dead and at least 2 hotel guests injured as they tried to escape by jumping out a window. Plumes of smoke rose from the 10-story building in the central Shar-Hina neighborhood. According to images posted on social media as the attack unfolded, residents reported explosions and gunfire. Dex, what do you think? Why do you think China is telling people to leave as soon as possible? Are they going to go serve some fisticuff justice or something? Like, I guess why are they saying this? Because there's a threat against the Chinese there? What's going on?
Well, they're saying it because they're the ones that moved in. Vlad was there for, I don't remember how long. He was there from like 79 to 89, so 10 years. Or not him, but the Soviets back then. They were there for 10 years. They couldn't figure it out. We watched that and we didn't do anything about it. And then we spent 20 years there and dealt with this. And then we leave. And then G says, well, hey, I'm going to move in. And guess what? We've all been there, done that. Now he's getting the same thing that was happening to everyone else there. So, it's obviously not necessarily welcoming for his country, but I'm sure they were there trying to barter and create some deals and broker some stuff for themselves, especially with all that equipment that was left behind. I'm sure they wanted to get their hands on as much of it as they could. But yeah, at this point, as we have seen year over year, decade over decade, history repeating itself in that country, it's never a safe place for foreigners.
And it was just weird how we bounced out of there. They got so much of our gear, and it makes you question if their country had anything to do with that, or if they're moving in, do you think that they're trying to grab our tech and our gear that we left there? I believe people questioned that when we bounced out and left $700 million worth of military equipment, helicopters, all sorts of other stuff, and people just basically forgot about that. Isn't that just kind of weird? I mean, like, we left all of that military gear. They said that some of it was decommissioned, but I mean, come on. Any other major state country could go in there and take it. And now they're supposedly ruled by these T cells. It's just, the whole thing was a mess. Left, tanks. I believe we left Humvees and Apache helicopters and all sorts of crap, Chinooks, and also they even showed these T cells basically practicing flying the helicopters after we left. Pretty nuts. All right, it looks like we have a caller on the phone. We have Tommy, and talking about Title 42 is over in 7 days, and what will happen to the border. Let's get Tommy on the phone. Tommy is calling from the lifeboat. While you get him on, I just want to remind you guys, if you do want to protect your cars, your trucks, your generators from an EMP or a CME, a coronal mass ejection, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can wire this into your car in less than 15 minutes and be able to get home or to bug out or to bug in. If you work far from home, then I would definitely recommend getting one of these. It's a simple device, but it is incredibly, incredibly useful. The same company is actually contracted with agencies like DHS, DOD, to help them protect themselves against EMP and CME. This will also protect your home from lightning, Again, they make a device for almost everything you want to keep running after an EMP. It can protect against all three phases, E1, E2, and E3, and it can ground the signal in less than 1/500 trillionths of a second before it fries your device. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP to get $50 off and to help our independent channel. All right, let's get Tommy on. Tommy, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Adam, I need about 15 more seconds.
Okay, perfect. And I'll pull up Tommy's link here as well. And then in a second here, we'll be talking about China's war against Taiwan has already started. It's actually funny name wrote that.
And Adam, Tommy is live now.
Tommy, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm doing good. So what's going on?
So this Title 42 thing, which I think a lot of people, the news doesn't do a great job of explaining, but it was on the books for a really long time, and it was put there in case people were trying to enter our country during a time where there was medical emergencies like the last one that we just had, right? The CD. So the T-Man called this up. It really wasn't his action as much as it was just him using something that had been on the books since the 60s. But it has been turning people away at the border left and right. And in 7 days, it's over. And the amount of damage that is going to be done to the country when this happens, we got a guy from the lifeboat who actually works for the agency down there that keeps people from crossing in. And he said that, when Mayorkas came down there, they all basically went off on the guy, and his instructions were to stand down, to basically, they know what's going on. The cartels are smuggling people to the border, and they will pick a zone. And let's say the zone is a mile wide. They'll send 4,000 people to the zone at 2:00. Well, when they bring all of these people and they capture these folks, all of them have to be processed. And as crazy as this sounds, they're not processed by secretaries or office staff. They're processed by the people whose job it is to watch the border. So they go in and they spend hours having to put all the paperwork through on these people. And while that's happening, the cartel sends through what they call packers. And these are just people with huge backpacks full of fen and all of the other stuff that's killing people, over 300 a day. And if we think we've seen, how bad this crisis is with the opioids, and then in 7 days, it's going to start for real. There are encampments all over the border towns, south of our border, people waiting for the 7 day mark. In 7 days, they're all coming, and we can't turn them away anymore. If they don't do something, and I mean now, to keep 42 in place, in 7 days, there's going to be nothing we can do to turn people away. Every single person that comes to that border, we're going to process, let in, and the border will be basically wide open. It'll be a freeway because there's going to be nobody watching the border. They're going to be processing through tens of thousands of people. In one border crossing, in this month, they had 35,000 people that hit one border crossing, 25,000 of whom they processed through, and 10,000 were getaways, people that could have been carrying, 25, 30 pounds of raw fent each, coming through. And if we thought it was ugly, I'm telling you, Adam, what it's going to be in 7 days, the crisis in this country and the attack, because that's really what it is, from the beast from the east, is going to be so much worse. And you're hearing it here. The next one isn't going to be fen. It's going to be the new stuff, which they're called phytonitazines, which is 20 to 30 times the strength and half the price of fen. They're already busting people with it in the U.S., but in 7 days, we are in deep, deep trouble.
And what's crazy is when T-Man was in office, this was all over the media. It's like the media does these cycles of where they'll totally cover something. I mean, you remember there's all these cycles. They covered people going into Walmarts and going bang, bang, bang. They covered people in cars going boom, 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 and going over people. They cover these things, and it's like you think like, all these things are happening. They're happening all the time. It's just when the media chooses to focus on it. The numbers haven't dramatically gone down or anything else. These numbers are going up and up and up. But you would think, this isn't an issue anymore. when, nobody on the MSM has even mentioned this. I mean, it's crazy how this isn't even being talked about, and it's a week before the potential end of it, right? Don't you think that's a little odd?
Correct. And they're, you nailed it though. The reason, and it's so obvious to people who pay attention, but the only pushback of this at all is actually coming from people like us that call local officials and say, why in the name of God are we getting rid of this? So to keep that from bothering all of their friends, they just don't report on it. But it is 7 days from right now. In 1 week, the border is going to be a superhighway.
So that would be December 21st. And
that's D-Day.
So if you don't know about the FEN, and this stuff is very sensitive, and it's weird that you can't talk about it, this stuff that has now replaced the stuff that used to come from Afghanistan, the heroin, that stuff has now been replaced. Essentially, the people are on this stuff, which it was when I first heard about it, it was like prescription stuff, right? It was for people that had cancer, the worst of the worst of the worst pain. They would give them a patch of this stuff. Now they're turning it into the stuff. It's so powerful that they have, of course, covered these stories of like people even getting a tiny bit of the dust and perishing from, having too much in their system like that. That has destroyed communities. And if you don't know, go to any metropolis in the United States and you will see the destruction it has done. You can go to pretty much any metropolis, and I have seen at least 7 or 8 of the main metropolises in the United States in the last couple of years, and I cannot believe that it's all identical. I mean, it's like you feel like you're right at home when you go to certain stores where there's like 40 or 50 people outside these stores at 11 o'clock at night, and they have these open air markets. I mean, it's insane.
Yep.
The death rate has now surpassed bang violence and car crashes combined, all because of this stuff. It's nuts.
And what's crazy is the bang violence, they trump those up. Those numbers, it was 45,000 last year. But 54% of those were people that decided to point it at themselves or accidentally, discharged it and took someone's life. And then 3% were law enforcement doing what they were actually supposed to do, and or someone doing self-defense. So when you get down to it, 19,000 people were actually taken out by bang in the previous year, compared to 108,000 that was being taken out by what you're talking about, by the FEN and everything coming across the border. But one, they will tell you, is the biggest threat to people in our country, and the other, they will not talk about. It's sad. And it's getting worse, because if you think the FEN is ugly, wait until you see phytonidazines. It's cheaper. It is to opiates what the Chris meth was to the amphetamines. This is the easiest recipe to make. And they're saying, depending on who you believe, they're saying 20 to 50 times the strength of the FEN. And the FEN, right now, they're saying that 6 out of 10 doses are deadly. For an average person, 6 out of 10 doses on the street will kill you. And we're seeing stuff coming in now that is 20 to 50 times that strength. Next year, I'm telling you right now, next year is going to be the ugliest thing we have ever seen. And if they don't do something to stop 42 from getting repealed on the 21st, this is going to be the ugliest thing we've ever seen in this country.
Well, Tommy, thank you for calling in, and again, we appreciate your call, and
I appreciate
the info. And if you guys haven't checked,
love to Barrel Beast.
Yeah,
congratulations on your daughter. Good stuff.
Faith is new daughter. Well, not yet. They're gonna have it here soon, and it's
on the way.
It's gonna be a healthy baby girl. Tommy, thank you so much. And, of course, we're going to link your channel and all of your info there, and we already have you on Friends. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for all you do.
All right, thank you. That's Tommy from the Lifeboat. If you don't know, a lot of the Frugal fam members, again, most of our friends are all creating and trying to spread the word as well. I encourage everybody to try to spread their truth and spread as far as their message. Tommy does the Lifeboat with Wages World, which you guys know Wages World is a mod as well. Wages World also does his solar events channel that is, half of 100,000 right now. It's a big channel, and he does great stuff covering all of the solar events. I think that they do even more impactful stuff over on Tommy's channel, The Lifeboat, because they're dealing with recovery. They, of course, talk about all of the issues with recovery and what is going on in that space. They talk about a lot of controversial subjects, so make sure to go check out their channel. It's over on marfooglenews.com/friends. Again, that's down right here, Lifeboat, the TLB. All right. And if you are struggling with recovery, and I know that there's a lot of folks dealing with it, it's a great place to go where, a lot of the chat and everybody else there is dealing with the same thing. You can talk to people about it. You can, of course, find some solace in people that are going through the same thing that you are. And then China's war against Taiwan has already started. Dex, do you want to cover this one? This one's pretty wild, actually. And I'm going to pop you in right now.
Hey, Adam. Yeah. So this is a really lengthy article that was put together. It's one of these little bit of history behind it. But it's really fascinating when you think about what's happening and how they've gone through and talked about the ongoing or the long-term effects of what Xi is trying to do to Taiwan to take it over, not just physically, but psychologically. And so they talk about some of the things that happened, some of the stories that happened going back as far as 2018. But even before then, even as back to the declaration of starting starting Taiwan as an independent, trying to start it as an independent country, I guess, going back as far as that, there's just been this ongoing operation, not just Ganda, but specifically psychological type messaging and other information that's being pushed from Xi's country specifically to try to make the population of Taiwan not have as much faith in their independence and instead be more aligned with their version of the government, which is CCP controlled. So it's a pretty long article. If you guys want to read it, go to the website and read it. But the gist of it is we talk every day about this coming conflict between Xi and Taiwan, which we really mean the physical, like when they literally like land on the island and start pulling blasting things and doing stuff. That's when the real conflict happens. But what they really said is this has been ongoing. It's been ongoing for a long time, and there's a lot that has gone into this plan and this not only this plan but this whole notion of trying to be Chinese but also be independent. And that's what they basically say Taiwan is the people that wanted to be independent and not be part of that system. So similar to Hong Kong and others, but in this case a very very deeply rooted program has been going on with Xi and with the country against them. And when you read through some of this, you'll get the gist of like just how much they've done. We talk about the PSYOP stuff that they do on social media. We talk about, just the fact that they do the incursions all the time across the ADIZ, all of these different things that they do. And you put it all together and they really are in a conflict. It's just nobody's firing a shot yet.
And it goes deeper into it basically gets down to the nitty gritty, and it shows stuff that you can verify. When you go deep down into it, you can actually verify almost all of the parts, like the fake videos and all of the other stuff that was put out. So it's you can debate on some of the opinion stuff, but on a lot of the events, those have all been logged and archived as ways that they are already in this conflict. I see it as common sense. I see what Xi is doing to the U.S., and I see what it's doing to the rest of the world. It's pretty clear they don't want to be number two forever, so they are doing things to try to become number one, including pay people off. This is Australia's new Ghost Shark unmanned combat submarine. It says Anduril Australia, a wholly owned subsidiary of the defense technology company Anduril Industries, has revealed its prototype for the Royal Australian Navy's future drone submarine. The Unmanned Underwater Vehicle, or UUV, has officially been named Ghost Shark during the prototype unveiling ceremony on Monday, as a nod to the Royal Australian Air Force's Ghost Bat drone designed by Boeing Australia. And officials are already discussing the likelihood of arming it down the line. Ghost Shark will be developed under a partnership between Anduril Australia, the Royal Australian Navy, RAN, and the Defence Scientist Technology Group, DSTG. Commercial negotiations for the co-funded design began in May of this year, and the group effort will support Australia's overarching extra-large autonomous undersea vehicle, or XLAUV program, which seeks to rapidly produce an affordable, autonomous, long-endurance drone that can be tailored for a variety of military and non-military missions. The finalized deal is now valued at about $100 million per system. $100 million per system. And 3 total prototype drones are currently under contract with the RAN and to be delivered over the next 3 years. The first of which, dubbed Live LD or Dive LD, it says Dive Large Displacement, which is probably the most unoriginal name ever, was the prototype unveiled on Monday, months ahead of schedule. I want to point out, everything has been unveiled ahead of schedule. Remember, Australia did their main submarine deal for their big submarines. They were going to be getting their nuclear submarines from France. They ended up cutting that deal. That deal was going to take over a decade to go with the U.S. because the U.S. could get them those submarines in about 2 years. So something is going on here as far as the speed. Everybody is getting their stuff done. That's just my opinion. It says Technologies this February has leveraged the technology as a jumping off point for the Ghost Shark. What's even crazier is all of these drone technologies, like we talked about the other night, these are the new conflict. They're going to use these things. There's going to be a conflict where it will be drone versus drone and drone versus people, not people versus people. So keep that in mind. Watch the waters. All right, and then shelters, backpacks, and FM radios. Kiev prepares for nuclear war. And this is coming out of MSN, too. So if Kiev is struck by a nuclear bomb, Suri Dumitruk's biggest fear is that he will survive the blast but die anyway from hunger, thirst, or cold. So he has assembled what he calls a nuclear backpack, basically a go bag, crammed with enough provisions and survival paraphernalia to sustain him for a week. Pavlo Hook has been compiled a similar pack and is kitting out the basements of his home and his workplace. It says it has rented a house in the countryside, planning to equip it with a generator, food, and fuel. His worry is that the friends and relatives who have shrugged off the threat will die because they have not taken similar precautions. So if you think that we here in the U.S. are afraid of this stuff, over there's definitely a lot of prepping going on. It says Natalia Sulima fears only that she will be separated from her 5-year-old son, Misha, and she has been drilling him on the importance of following adults to a shelter whenever sirens sound. She won't let him out without his own version of a nuclear backpack, a school bag containing a Transformers toy, snacks, and his favorite book, The Boy Who Lives with Dragons. It says, I can't believe we have to do this in the 21st century, says Salima. Look at this. This is a picture. The kid's not going to survive. Sorry. That's a horrible go bag. Who's going to tell her? That Transformer won't do very well in a nuclear disaster, but hey, he'll have something to read. It says, to varying degrees, residents of Kiev are contemplating the once unthinkable possibility that their city could be targeted by a nuclear bomb. Ominous references by Russian President Vlad that he is prepared to use all necessary means to win the UKR conflict and frequent chatter on Russian TV shows advocating the use of nuclear weapons have given grounds for the concerns. So one thing to point out is the perspective of this is, of course, saying that even though most of us look at it as saber rattling, if you do live there or if you are the target cities, it would be pretty freaky. But also, the community and the actual culture there, they have been saying, like, F you guys, we'll start some nuke stuff. Dex, go on. You want to talk about the second half of this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Kiev already has a network of nuclear-ready shelters in the form of its subway system, which was constructed during the cold conflict era. It doubles as a nuclear bunker. It includes the world's deepest station, which is Arsalina, which is 346 feet below ground. The Providence is preparing an additional 425 shelters right now to serve those living outside the city and equipping them with food. But get this, they don't have enough shelters for everyone. It's not like Moscow where they claim to have shelters for everybody. They don't have enough. And they say, hey, the doors are closing 5 minutes before an anticipated blast, period. So if you're not in and it's 5 minutes before the blast, the doors get closed and you're out. And then they put out instructions on what to do if you're caught on the streets or if you're caught out and you're not in a shelter. But yeah, if you don't make it in before 5 minutes before the expected blast, then you're out.
And it says the government has issued detailed advice on steps to be taken to survive. If caught on the street, under no circumstances should you look at the explosion. It says, which could cause blindness. Lie on the ground face down with your feet in the direction of the explosion. So if you think about that, so the explosion's over there, lie down basically with your feet towards the explosion, right? Cover all of the exposed parts of your body. Wait for the blast wave to pass. Take note of which way the wind is blowing. Then move in a direction perpendicular to the direction of the wind to find some form of indoor shelter, probably an inside room. Before entering the room, remove your outer clothes and deposit them in a plastic bag. Once inside, seal doors and any windows with duct tape. Bring a radio and tune in for advice of when it's safe to come out, because mobile networks are unlikely to work. Your phone's not going to work. So they're saying have an FM radio, have this pack, right? So again, you would probably be scared too if your government is literally handing you sheets of what to do when you're caught out on the street on a nuke. Now remember, New York is actually doing these PSAs, and the PSAs are absolutely unhelpful besides the fact they're saying the top three things, like cover up, don't look, go inside, and wait for more news. That's basically what New York is telling people. These are actually giving them some pretty, better information than the New York PSAs. They're actually telling them what to do in that actual moment. But this is pretty nuts. It says the advice is complicated, and even if followed, the odds of survival are not high. It says Yulia Bulashevka, who heads the Emergency Preparedness and Radiation Monitoring Department of the State Scientific and Technical Center for Nuclear and Radiation Safety. So just so you guys realize, if any of this is true, if they really do send a nuke into UKR, even one, we're talking, this is going to escalate. There's no way around it. There's been chatter this whole time. I guess that many people are hoping that in 10 years from now, we'll look back at this and it'll be just like the Cold War. It got to the peak and then it went back down. What I see, though, is they have permanently changed how the world works right now. As far as the sanctions and everything else that's been done, you actually see that they have changed the financial system. They've disconnected all sorts of stuff. China and Russia are now working together to basically cut the U.S. out of things. Things are not going to go back to normal, even if there is no nuclear conflict. That's my opinion. What's yours? I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. But I think it's very useful information to let people know. They are actually handing out information in UKR, basically telling them how to survive this thing. Whether it be saber rattling or just BS propaganda, then that's nuts. Ilea says, didn't Elon tweet that someone followed his son X thinking he was in the car too and jumped on the hood? Yes, we covered that, Ilea. We actually showed that on the show here just a second ago. This was the tweet at the top. That was actually the first one that we read. So they basically that's why he doesn't want it to be done, and that's the reason. But you have to think about, what he has been saying about all of this stuff. It does kind of contradict his message, or at least that's what most people believe. Zen1AZ, thanks for the great calls, Lisa and Tommy. Carol McLean, thank you. Blue Angel 14, do you think plate movement underneath the volcano could cause a sudden stop of the eruption? Blue Angel, that's a good question. I'm not an expert. My common sense, Bell is going off and saying, yeah, probably. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though? Is it putting it off until later? Sachi 1000, thank you for the ice cream cone. I appreciate that. Nice super sticker there. Zen1AZ, much love, Marf, Dex, Mods, and Frugal fan. Well, thank you, Zenwin. Thank you so much. Brett Butler, this is all about new cricket diet. Yummy. Brett Butler was actually responding to the cow call about how they possibly forced the person that Lisa knows' son to basically take out his own cattle at $9 to $10 a pound and destroy his own herd. And then B-Roll Beast, thanks y'all. Burrell Beast. This will be the 4-1. Don't fear the future, fam. Enjoy the life and creating it. Or keep practicing making the future, LOL. And then Sweatin' Ministries, nice to see you again. Keep up the good work, brothers. We have reports from my customers in car parts store here in Indiana about farmers being told to as well. So Sweatin' Ministries is actually confirming or saying that they have confirmations of the same thing happening. That's freaky. Customers of mine in Indiana about farmers being told to destroy their herds as well. Man, that's just nuts. All right, and then let's see here. We're going to go back over to the phones. Looks like, let's see, after Tommy, we have Coal Cracker. We're going to get Coal Cracker on. Coal Cracker, if you want to do the steps to actually come in, that would be great. And then while you are, I want to remind people, make sure to go over and check out Energy. This is the system I use. The Flex 1500 is actually the system I have used for pretty much everything. I will end up doing a video on this at some point because I have been able to use this in so many situations it's not even funny. I am in a place where I've lost power a ton. So this is coming a clutch now at least 4 or 5 times. But if you are even just in a general situation where you lose your power in a storm, or if you're worried about if SHTF happens, this is a great system because it's a solar generator. These are absolutely silent, so they're stealth. Nobody hears that you can have one from 3 blocks away. And also, it's unlimited power as long as you have solar panels and sun. And when that next day comes around and the sun rises, you have power again. This is one of the best built systems out there. It is literally one of the highest quality systems out there. The way they make it, the metals they use, the lithium that they use, the technology they use, and how it's built. It's literally built like a tank. It is a great system. Make sure to go check it out. marfugelnews.com/energy. It's expandable. You can actually expand it up to 96 batteries. That's the Flex 1500. That's the one I recommend. Make sure to go look at their folding panels. They're great. And when you use our code, you can save up to $170 off on those packages. The new one, there is a waiting list for all of these. The Kodiak X2 has the shortest wait list if you want something right now, something that's all built in one. This is, of course, the all built in one Kodiak X2. This, if you order now, you will be able to get in January. So all the people that ordered in November got theirs in December. If you order now, you'll be able to get it in January. The reason why is as they get the lithium, they're making these units and then shipping them out. There is a huge, huge demand on lithium right now, and there's even going to be more. Lithium is going up and up and up and up. So it's something that if you can get something like this that's going to last, decades, you might want to get it earlier than later because you might be paying a whole lot more for the same technology in just a couple years. In fact, most say in just a couple months. Go to marfugelnews.com/energy. You can get the Kodiak X2, which is a UPS, uninterrupted power supply, or you can get the Flex 1500, which is an EPS, emergency power supply. Both are there, and then also they have the Kodiak LT, the very small one. That one packs a punch. You can actually, of course, charge all of your tablets, your phones. You can run TVs and Xboxes and things like that. Again, that's a really cool small generator as well. All right, let's see here. Let's get Coal Cracker on. Coal Cracker, you're live on Marfoogle News.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, it's been a while. So what's going on?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. My grandfather was in the Navy for 30 years. He's passed, but he's been a 33rd degree Mason. Very few people make it to that 33rd degree. And he left some stuff for me. And one of the things I sent text to show you there, he gave me a paper from 1945.
Let me load it up real quick here. Hold on. So what are we looking at here? I'm pulling it up now. Oh, a newspaper.
The original paper on one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it cost a nickel. The New York Journal American. And if you read the caption there, it tells you. Have something interesting that in the statement of Truman, if you look at the second picture, if you say history repeats itself, look at the wording of what Truman says. And then Vlad said that about 4 weeks ago or so. This almost identical statement.
Wow. It says in his statement, Mr. Truman warned JAPS that unless they accept peace terms, quote, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. Whoa. Oh,
Mandela effect.
is that weird or what? That's paraphrasing. That's like basically Vlad said that same thing, only talking to us. Right? Isn't that what he said to us?
History repeats it. Yeah, he said that. He made that quote. Yes, he did. It was almost identical quote. If not, it must be.
Oh, that I did not know
something is. You want to check this out. Look at the date. If I sent you the other picture, it says Monday, August 6, 1945. Right? Add them up. Add up 0861945, and what do you get? 33.
What an insane! And this was a newspaper that you had. This is in your possession. You still have this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Looking at it right now.
Wow. I was just at a family and there was some old stuff from basically married in family. His family has all this stuff from the White House from way back in Roosevelt days. And there's a letter invitation because his grandma was invited to Roosevelt's birthday party or his granddaughter's birthday party or something. The White House had an envelope that literally just said the White House. Didn't have an address, anything. It was just the White House. Back when it was the White House. That's it. There was all sorts of interesting stuff in old newspapers, and I couldn't believe some of the prices in the ads. As far as looking back at history, it's like if you didn't have this, how would you find this? I guarantee it would be super hard to find this exact newspaper unless you're looking in the archives of an old school library, newspaper archives. I mean, this stuff just doesn't pop up. How did you end up finding this? Did you just pull this out of, do you have a lot of these newspapers? Because this is pretty interesting stuff. If you've got more.
No, he gave it to me.
Do you have more?
Yeah, I have one from 1938. It was somebody's historical ride. If you know, I don't want to say the name, but I have that paper. It's right in the back of it. I was going to send you pictures, but I thought, maybe not. Bad timing. You can't say that on air.
Well, you can send it to me, and I can see if I can, try to make it something that we can show on there and see if there's anything we can,
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I was even thinking, I'll talk to you, but I have something. I have something of important. Maybe I'll give it away or something on your show. We'll do something like that. So we'll have something going. I'll talk to you about it. But I just wanted to say, what people forget is you're saying people forget stuff. And what about all the them bus loads of people we were taking in from different countries? Ones we train military wise, they have camps all over. And people are, well, what did they do with them?
They're going to Walmart, grabbing sleeping bags and pillows with agents by their side.
No, what I'm saying is what he was phrasing there, about 7 days stuff. I mean, he's absolutely correct, and the influence, like the all these areas, the counties and stuff like that, there's an uptick. You can see it, and it's being planned. So this is all it's all, well, like a play, I should say. I hate to say it, but like a movie, scripted in a sense. So that's why I think that if its history repeats itself, I don't know so much that maybe that's going to happen. That the nuclear, I don't know if that's going to happen just for the simplicity. I think they're scaring people, and I just see it as they're already doing something now, and people just don't know because you can't see it. You were breathing it in, so forth, and it's on a daily basis. So it's only a matter of time, and they know this. So why would they destroy and pollute and harm? It takes a long time, so they don't even have to do that. The way you take people is just starvation. That's the number one thing that it happens, and it's proven in history is that. So they're not going to use that force, in my opinion. I think they're already. It's just been silent the way it's going, but it's already happening. I mean, obviously, look at everything else. It's just a matter of time when it ramps up. And he's saying if they're coming in 35,000 like that, are they good people or are they bad people? Are they going to, is it how many people can come in until it's flooded and they're going to work their way up? It's like how much stuff. So are they going to try to take the people's places to stay, or are they going to be staying on the streets? I mean, or is it just that they're trying to pack everybody in one place and then, maybe history repeats itself? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answers. I wish I did. But it is, something very to think about. I think about it every day. I'm holding my 2-year-old son. He's not too bad, but he's close to it. But and I think about it all the time. There's nothing more than I want to be close to my kids in this time, in this day and age. Hold them and look at. I don't even want to go away to work or any for that. I just want to be close to them, and it's scary moments and scary times, but I just think a lot is propaganda, and a lot is to scare people and put fear in them because they have the technology to make you, mess with your mind. If it's not looking at the phone or, sounds or whatever frequencies that they're emitting, they're messing with your mind. So I believe they're not going to waste the areas because we're loaded on the whole Northeast coast is loaded with natural gas. We're primed up to the max. It's a lot. I did it for 20 years, and there's a lot of lines in the ground, and they're big, and they're not deep. They're only 4 feet deep.
Well, again, what's going on right now is most definitely manufactured in. We just don't know who's manufacturing it, and we don't know if the consequences, how real they are, or what is actually going to happen. But we can pretty much see where it's going. This was a really, really great call. Thank you so much for bringing in these clips. Just want to read again, if you just joined us, a bunch of people just joined. This is a clip from August 6th in, what year is this? This is, do we have the year on it? 1945. And it's saying, in his statement, Mr. Truman warned the JAPS, the Japanese, that unless they accept peace terms, quote, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the likes of which has never been seen on this earth. Talk about repeating history. And I actually believe that Vlad has said it twice now, because I remember a different one from this one, and this one's a separate one. It says, whoever would try to stop us, furthermore create threats to our country, our people should know that Russia's response will be immediate and lead you to such consequences as you have never faced in your history. There was another one that basically, and I feel like maybe NK said that, but there's another one, and I'm going to find it. Great.
Yeah, it was close. It was
great find.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Cole Cracker. I appreciate you calling in. Again, thank you.
Yeah. All right. To the mods, the Dex, you, the fam. Peace.
Hey, thanks for calling in again. It's been a while since Cole Cracker's called in. He always has really great calls. If you have old clips like this, if you have old newspaper articles like this, and I know a lot of families do, hold these kind of things, look through them. If you have something like this, I would love to put a video together of all of the different things that have kind of repeated themselves since WW2. Specifically, if you have old newspaper articles from WW2 and you feel like it's a very similar situation to right now, I would love it if you send it to me. Again, you can send it to adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com. Put in the subject, old newspapers, and then I can find it. I would love to see that. Make sure to put the subject line as old newspaper clips or old newspapers. And then I can find that, and I would love to put together. And I guarantee you there's a bunch of you that have this, because I know even my family on both sides, we have old newspaper clippings of random stuff, if family's a part of it. If you have those, then most likely you have that actual paper. A lot of people collect these, and I bet you there's at least one of you that has a huge collection. In fact, old newspapers are, they're actually collectibles. And in fact, I saw an episode of the Storage Wars where this guy bought it was like some crazy low amount. It was a couple $100 for this storage unit. What ended up being inside was a bunch of newspapers. And at first the guy was like, but then realized that they were all historic newspapers that were all in great condition. And it ended up being like, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of memorabilia. And it was just newspapers. It was like as tall as the ceiling. Do you guys remember that episode? I don't know if anybody else has seen that one. I don't know if it was hundreds of thousands. It might have been more. It was like some rare find. Let's see here. Brenda Jones, what is going on? Don't and will. I'll just shut my mouth. Karen Rax. I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else, but I know a lot of stuff about that kind of stuff. We share a lot in the overflow. Donoy, know what you're talking about. Michael Close. Yes, it was a great episode. Glowing, Scott Xmas right. Jesus, we have to share at Christmas how Scotland blocked celebrations for centuries up until late as 1958. Oh, are you from Scotland? Oh, Cyrus, what is going on? Nice to see you. Lulu, thank you for the info. You're listening to 103 Burn FM Lifeboat. Old newspapers found at your public library daily, and many are also on microfilm. George Sanders, that's what I was actually referencing. But I haven't seen, and I've been to quite a few libraries. There are very few libraries that actually have the microfilm readers anymore, at least around here. Do you guys still have the microfilm readers, the ones... If you remember, when I was a kid, you could go to the library down the street from my house, and They had one where you could put it on there and you could scroll through, and it had that big weird projector screen thing, and you could look at old newspapers. Very, very cool stuff. But we don't have that anymore. I wonder if they made it all digital. Let's see. KT cleans a lot. Microfilm online archives. KT cleans a lot. Do old newspapers in the subject. If you can send me the links to a great selection for that, I'd love it. David, Reed, don't worry about it. Don't worry about removing your comment. Z-Man Luke, well, hopefully you get it back up. And Doris Sanders, what's going on? Certainly do. Nice to see you, David. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about Putin and Xi to talk over how 2022 panned out for Russia and China?
Certainly. So it looks like they're set to meet again. So they've had numerous phone calls. We've had at least a couple of meetings, I think, in person. So they certainly, if not two, at least one. But I know that they obviously have a tight relationship, and they tend to be pretty strong allies. Even though every now and then we get a soundbite out of Xi, which sort of throws a curveball into the mix, and everybody thinks, oh, maybe he's backing away from Vlad. But it sounds like they're getting ready to have their next face-to-face meeting and talk about what's happening in the world and what they can do together. So I'm sure they've got all sorts of sneaky plans up their sleeves, and we'll never know about it.
So something is going on here with Vlad and Xi, and if they're having another face-to-face, I just wonder what's going on. If you look at the big picture, and at the risk of sounding absolutely nuts, look at all the weird stuff we have covered recently. Look at all of the weird stories like the Noah's Ark and the Space Ark and Star Shield and all of these weird things, and including China completing their space station. We are possibly in for a very, very uncertain future. So this is why we encourage people to just get prepared, talk with family about a plan. A good way to get your family to talk about a plan is to basically go along the lines of, you have insurance for your phone, you have insurance for your car, you have insurance for pretty much everything else. You buy protection on your phone in case you drop it. You get insurance on your car it's not like you want to get in a car accident, and it's not like you're going to get in a car accident. You just buy it because you might, right? Well, talk to them about food and water. People should have food and water, period. So think about that. There's great creators like Alaska Prepper in the beginning of the show was here. He does the payday preps. So if you do not have the funds to be able to go through, My Patriot Supply and affiliates like that, there are ways that we have given you the access to, so you can do it for, pennies on the dollar by yourself and do it yourself style. It takes a little bit work, but you can do it, and anybody can do it. Put a couple dollars aside every single week. Even if you go to the grocery store, take $1.50 and buy a gallon of water. It's like more like $2 now, but buy an extra gallon of water a week and just put it away. A can of food. Get one can of food a week and put it away. Just like a food bank, or just like a piggy bank, it's going to start building up. If you do a little bit at a time, it will end up serving you really, really well. And even if there's not an SHTF situation, there will be a situation where you'll probably need that food. Almost everywhere in the world has some sort of natural disaster that can occur. Just think about that. And most people do not prepare for it. Dex, thank you for covering that. And why don't we go over the web only?
Absolutely. We got a lot going on. So folks, don't go anywhere. Head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or scroll, open up that show notes link that's in the description on YouTube and Rumble. But you want to scroll down to get to this overflow section that's past all the news we just covered. And then don't forget, all the caller information is down below. So if you want to see those newspaper images, they're going to be down below this section. But here is the rest of the story. So everything else that we couldn't get to, there was apparently another tornado hit the lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans. This is back to back, not the same day, but it's the same area that got hit recently by a tornado. So kind of, strange to see it happen in the exact same spot in such a short amount of time. An unfortunate event happened with an Amazon worker. You can get the details on that. There's updates on the inflation fight, so to speak, and the Fed raising the hikes. There was an interesting set of people that were, arrested or charged by the SEC. These were social media influencers that were basically doing a pump and dump with crypto. It's kind of good to see them actually try and take down some of those clowns that do that stuff. T-Man, a lot of updates on what was going on with him. And really, I guess it seems like there's a lot of negativity from his own party about him. That's what a lot of the stories seem to be framed right now. So you take that for what it's worth, but you can get the rest of the story there on that. A Virginia town is upset over a certain type of worship that I think a lot of people in chat would be upset about. And some updates on the Paul Pelosi from the police officer out there. So if you were interested in learning more about that, that's there. Prince Williams talks about his Harry and the relationship. So that's kind of new news, at least. Elon is getting slammed in the news as usual. A lot of negative stuff about him. In addition to the story we covered today in the show about the kid and his tracking system, but also they keep talking about how he's not paying his bills. There's some conspiracy stuff that's starting to come back to life on his network, and his shares of Tesla are dropping, and they keep dropping, and they're not finding the bottom, as they call it. So if you want to learn more about that, that's all covered there. Hey, for those of you that have Costco memberships, get ready. The prices are going up. That was confirmed. The CFO made an announcement in one of their stock holdings hearings that they are meetings they were having, and a lot more. Man, I didn't even get it all. Even updates on FTX. So there's a lot going on. So go check out marfooglnews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show. Scroll down till you get to this overflow section. Check the rest of the story. We put this together for you every night, and then keep going. You'll get to the caller information if you're looking for any of that. It is right there as well.
50%, nearly half of young adults are living at home with their parents. Yeah, the having cell phones from, first grade, that's really doing some good.
You know what they said about that in that article, Adam? They go into it and talk about the fact that it's a luxury boom because these kids are staying home and not spending their money on rent. They're spending it on luxury items.
Yeah, they learned priorities. That's for sure. Well, maybe they'll buy a luxury laptop and create a crypto exchange. All right. Let's see how that worked out. Worked out really well for somebody. All right. Well, thank you so much. And you guys have a great night. It is now time to go. But it is, of course, time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. This is only A-Test. Thank you, all peace and love. Thank you, all peace and love. Thank you, all peace and love. Ooh, all right. This is only A-Test. This is only A-Test. All right, thank you so much, Stealth Mode, Laura Reed, David Reed, Kathy Payana. Thank you, Ilea, for modding. Thank you, Wages, for modding. Thank you, Dex, for co-hosting. Marley V. Chance Paladin, Talon Rap, ho, everyone say in Florida. I'm back with a Scooby-Doo. I'll fade away, dehydrate Ice Cube. Hey, with a dancing, back up, pantsing. Hey, I'm bouncing. Oh, everybody rhythm, bones. Thanks for modding, Brian Knight and the Lifeboat Order. Awesome, hey, back, Andy Oakley, I'm Brown. Hey, with a toss in a key, hola. Hey, I'm back now, hola. Tristan Green, back with the E. Pancho Oregon prepping just got here. We got to start the show all over again. Oregon prepping in chat. Everybody can thank him. Got to start the show over again. Welcome to Marfoogle News. Now a word from our sponsor. Make sure to go over and check out nightwatchpro.com. Actually, really cool.